Hey everyone, I'm Camila, and I want to tell you about my life. I grew up without a lot of money, but my husband Jackson had a totally different childhood. His family was rich, and he even started his own successful business. I have a good job too, but I still feel connected to my middle-class background. The only problem is my mother-in-law Addison. Dealing with Addison was like trying to navigate through a storm. But Jackson's dad, Grayson, was great. Addison, though, enjoyed putting me down and making me feel small about my family's money situation. She criticized us in private and even in public. Jackson always had my back, but Addison's insults never stopped. It got so bad that I thought about leaving Jackson because I didn't want to deal with his family anymore. But Jackson's love and support kept me going. He was amazing, unlike his mom. With time, I got better at handling Addison's behavior. So when she showed up with a flashy wedding dress right after we booked the venue, it didn't surprise me. She proudly showed off the dress, asking us what we thought. Isn't it amazing? It's from that fancy bridal shop you guys couldn't afford with your wedding budget, she said, not hiding her dislike. When I mentioned that her dress was too fancy for the occasion, she glared at me, clearly upset. I felt really uncomfortable then, not knowing how to handle her extravagant behavior, especially since Jackson and I were planning a simple wedding with just 60 guests to save money. We didn't want to spend too much, so I found a simple wedding dress that fit our budget. But Addison's dress was way too flashy. It was so extravagant that it would definitely steal the spotlight from me at my own wedding. It was obvious she picked it on purpose, knowing it would make a big statement. When I gently suggested she wear something else, Addison got really mad. How dare you tell me what to wear? I spent $125,000 on this dress. Do you really think I'd waste that money? I'm wearing it, no questions asked. Jackson tried to step in, saying, Mom, listen to Camila. That dress isn't right for our small wedding. Please pick something more suitable. But Addison wouldn't change her mind. No way, Jackson. I love this dress. I'm not settling for some random dress like your wife. I have my home standards. It's my big day too as the mother of the groom, she insisted, ignoring how ridiculous she sounded. Jackson, surprised, argued back, Addison, it's not your big day. Stop trying to steal all the attention. You're not wearing that dress to our wedding. The argument got intense quickly. Addison refused to give up on the dress, leading to a heated exchange between her, Jackson, and Grayson. The tension got so bad that we had to leave early without resolving the issue. Jackson was frustrated, saying, I can't believe my mom would do this. She's being unreasonable. Maybe she shouldn't even come to the wedding. But kicking Addison out of the wedding could make things worse. If we disinvite her, she might make an even bigger scene. She doesn't keep promises and she does whatever she wants. We need to think of a smarter solution, I suggested, thinking about what might happen if we excluded her from such an important day. Jackson was frustrated too, admitting how badly his mother had treated my family and me over the years. I'm tired of her insults and disrespect. It has to stop. She can't ruin our wedding. So we agreed. We needed a plan that would keep Addison from causing trouble without making her suspicious or angry. As time passed, Addison stuck to her decision, leaving us to plan carefully to keep our wedding focused on our love, not her showing off. We all agreed that we needed a smart plan to handle the situation. So Jackson, Grayson, and I got together to figure it out. We were tired of her disruptions and all wanted to make sure she didn't take over our wedding. After talking it through, we came up with a plan and quietly started putting it into action, making sure Addison didn't catch on. We stopped talking to her about the dress and only gave her basic information about the wedding, which didn't bother her much since she was too busy trying to outshine me. Just a few days before the wedding, we were having dinner at my in-laws, and Addison couldn't contain her excitement. I can't wait for your wedding, Jackson. I've been thinking about it for so long. My dress and jewelry are all ready to shine. It's going to be such a special day, she said, clearly thrilled, though it was obvious she was most excited about showing herself off. It will be special, especially because I'll be marrying Camila, Jackson responded subtly, trying to bring the focus back to us, the real reason for the celebration. But Addison quickly made it about herself again. Sure, Camila will look nice. But next to me in my expensive dress, I doubt it. I spent a lot to make sure I stand out. Hearing this, I couldn't help but admire Addison's boldness, insisting she was better and planning to steal the spotlight from the bride on her big day. Jackson complimented Addison's dress to keep things calm. while I silently appreciated his support, squeezing his hand under the table. Grayson, always the wise and calming presence, played a crucial role in our plan. He gently teased Addison, pointing out how strange it was for her to make such big plans for a wedding that wasn't hers. "Addison, you're really going all out for a wedding that's not even yours. Shouldn't we focus on the couple getting married?" His remarks subtly reminded everyone of the real reason for the celebration, steering the conversation away from Addison's self-centered plans without causing more trouble. This clever move was an important part of our strategy to handle the situation gracefully, making sure the wedding stayed a happy occasion for us and our guests, not just a platform for Addison's ego. As the wedding drew near, Addison insisted on having only the best makeup artist for herself. "For my son's big day, I need top-notch treatment. After all, I'm the mother of the groom," she declared. She was determined not to mingle with guests she felt were beneath her, especially while wearing her expensive jewelry, fearing it might get stolen by those unfamiliar with such luxury. Grayson had a clever idea. "Why not get ready at home? It's safer and more comfortable, especially with all your plans," he suggested. Addison loved the idea of making a grand entrance and praised Grayson's thoughtfulness, unaware of our hidden agenda. Grayson exchanged a knowing look with us, showing that our plan was going smoothly. Caught up in her own excitement, Addison didn't realize she was falling into our trap. The thought of her surprise on the wedding day brought quiet satisfaction to Jackson and me. Even though I wish I could see her reaction in person, knowing the plan was in motion allowed me to focus on the joy of the upcoming wedding, feeling a sense of relief. While there was a slight worry about the plan being discovered, Jackson and our supportive friends helped ease those concerns. Everything was organized perfectly, reigniting my excitement for the special day. After months of stress, I felt genuinely thrilled about our wedding for the first time in a while. It was shaping up to be a celebration of our love, free from any outside drama. As the wedding morning arrived, bright and beautiful, it felt like the start of a new chapter we had been eagerly waiting for. The weather was perfect, adding to the joy of the day. Grayson, my amazing father-in-law, was the first to arrive at the venue, well before the rest of us. He stopped by to check on me, and despite my nerves, he'd assured me that everything was going according to plan. "Don't worry, dear," he reassured me, explaining his early arrival was due to Addison's difficult behavior. "Her makeup artist won't be here for another hour. We have plenty of time." I felt immensely grateful for Grayson's support. "Thank you so much, Grayson. I can't express how much this means to me," I told him. He smiled warmly, reminding me that I was now part of the family and assuring me that the day would unfold just as we had envisioned. His presence was a comfort, especially considering the challenge of dealing with Addison as my mother-in-law. I felt fortunate to have Grayson by my side. After checking in on me, Grayson made his way to where Jackson and I were getting ready for the ceremony. The day was shaping up to be everything I had ever dreamed of. I'll always remember the look of love on Jackson's face as I walked towards him, escorted by my uncle. Both of us were overcome with emotion, surrounded by our closest friends and family, with Grayson's supportive presence adding to the moment. As for Addison, her grand entrance didn't go as planned. Dressed in her expensive gown and covered in diamonds, she expected all eyes to be on her. But when she arrived at the venue, she was in for a surprise. It was empty. Confused and a bit panicked, she called Jackson, her voice filled with disbelief. "Jackson, what's going on? Why is nobody here?" she asked, clearly caught off guard by the turn of events. Addison frantically searched for us at the venue, puzzled by the absence of familiar faces. Jackson broke the news. She wasn't at the right place because she hadn't been invited to the real wedding. Her confusion quickly turned to disbelief, eliciting laughter and amusement from our side. Even Grayson struggled to contain his laughter, finding the situation quite amusing. As Addison pressed for answers, insisting she was speaking with Jackson and not me, her confusion grew deeper. Jackson calmly explained that although the venue she was at had been booked initially, we had chosen a different location for our ceremony. Learning that the wedding had already happened without her left Addison in disbelief, questioning why she hadn't been informed earlier. Jackson, growing impatient, pointed out that her exclusion was intentional, a decision made to prevent the disruptions her presence might cause. Despite his explanation, Addison couldn't believe that her own son would go to such lengths to keep her from his wedding. The conversation heated up as Jackson confronted her about the unnecessary drama surrounding her dress and her attempts to steal the spotlight from the bride. His firm stance surprised Addison, who struggled to come to terms with the consequences of her actions. Jackson's firm assertion that the day belonged to him and his wife, not to his mother, marked a clear end to the dispute, highlighting the significance of the occasion for the couple over any individual's desire for attention. Jackson emphasized that he would no longer tolerate Addison's disruptive behavior, making it clear that the wedding day was about him and his wife, not anyone else. After delivering this message, he ended the call. Despite Addison's continued attempts to reach him and multiple calls to Grayson, we went on to celebrate our reception surrounded by loved ones, undisturbed by the unfolding drama. During a moment alone, I noticed a call from Addison on my phone. Preparing myself, I answered, only to be met with accusations and insults. She blamed me for her exclusion from the wedding, accusing me of manipulating her son and labeling me a gold digger, envious of her potential to outshine me on my own wedding day. I calmly refuted her claims with facts, explaining that Jackson makes his own decisions based on what he believes is right, and his choice to exclude her was his own, though I did not try to influence him. Undeterred, Addison threatened to crash the reception, claiming she was already outside. I brushed off her threats with a mix of disbelief and indifference, reassuring her that she would find no support here. Returning to the reception, I braced myself for whatever scene might unfold. As expected, Addison's attempt to enter the venue quickly escalated. Dressed in her extravagant gown and denied entry by security, she epitomized frustration and entitlement, her actions bordering on the absurd. Rather than garnering sympathy, this spectacle only reaffirmed our decision to keep her away from our celebration. The guests, aware of the situation, rallied behind us, leaving no room for Addison's theatrics to disrupt our special day. Her attempt to steal the spotlight didn't end in triumph, but in a public display of her own making, starkly contrasting with the joy and unity inside. The disturbance Addison caused outside the venue quickly caught the attention of our guests, prompting everyone to witness the source of the commotion. When Jackson came across his mother causing a scene, his frustration reached its peak. He confronted her, dismayed by her refusal to respect his wishes and her insistence on blaming his wife. "Mom, what are you doing here? I clearly told you that you weren't invited. Why can't you understand that?" Jackson's patience wore thin as Addison played the victim, accusing him of being manipulated by his wife, whom she labeled as jealous. "Mom, listen to yourself. My wife isn't the problem here. It's you trying to overshadow her with that extravagant dress and jewelry. You knew she had a modest budget. Your actions were meant to belittle her," Jackson argued, hoping to make her realize the selfishness of her behavior. Addison, seeking support, turned to Grayson, hoping he would defend her actions. But Grayson, equally shocked by her behavior, stood by Jackson. "That dress isn't just any dress, Addison. It's practically a wedding gown. How can you not see how inappropriate your actions are? Look around, no one agrees with you," Grayson pointed out, his disappointment clear. Addison's attempt to justify her choice by insulting Camila's family and guests only made the situation worse. "They don't get it because they're from a different background," she argued, clinging to her misguided beliefs about maintaining her supposed class. But Grayson had had enough. "That's it, Addison. I won't let you insult my daughter-in-law and her family any longer. You've crossed the line this time," he declared, standing firm against her unfounded accusations and sense of entitlement. The conflict highlighted the sharp contrast between Addison's self-centeredness and the united front presented by Jackson, Grayson, and the supportive guests. Her attempt to crash the wedding, instead of gaining sympathy, only reinforced her isolation and confirmed the wisdom of excluding her from the ceremony. Grayson's firm defense of my family was a powerful moment for me, showing the depth of support and love I had found within Jackson's family, despite Addison's disruptive presence. This act of solidarity, affirming me as part of the family, was deeply touching, bringing me close to tears. It strengthened my belief that choosing to align my life with Jackson and his family, separate from Addison, was one of the best decisions I had ever made. Shocked and angry at Grayson's rebuke, Addison couldn't understand how her husband could speak against her, especially to defend what she saw as outsiders. She held tight to her beliefs of being superior, criticizing the wedding and our union. But Grayson's response was surprising and definitive. He expressed regret not for our wedding, but for his own with Addison, admitting their marriage was a mistake due to her unbearable behavior. Then he announced his intention to divorce her, leaving Addison speechless. Grayson wasn't alone in his decision. Jackson also cut ties with his mother, prioritizing the well-being of his wife and their future together over Addison's toxic influence. This decision showed a commitment to shield our new family from further turmoil. Addison was shocked and disbelieving. Her reliance on Grayson and Jackson for financial support had been a pillar of her extravagant lifestyle. Grayson's mention of divorce, along with the prenuptial agreements in place, meant Addison stood to lose not only her family but also the financial security she had taken for granted. Her lavish spending, highlighted by the purchase of the expensive dress, had been unsustainable on her own, relying instead on her husband's wealth. The news of impending divorce and our decision to cut ties with Addison marked a turning point for her. The consequences went beyond losing family connections to a harsh financial reality. Her once secure future, buoyed by wealth and status, now looked uncertain, with the protective clauses of prenuptial agreements leaving her with little to claim. This sudden change in circumstances served as a sobering reminder of the cost of her actions and attitudes, highlighting the transformative impact of Grayson and Jackson's decisions on our collective future. Jackson, Grayson, and I had discussed the situation thoroughly, recognizing the need to set boundaries to protect our new family. Grayson had been considering separation from Addison due to long-standing unhappiness, while Jackson and I were determined to shield our relationship from her toxic influence. Addison, taken aback by the realization that her actions had real consequences, had to face the fallout publicly. Her pleas for leniency, framed as an overreaction to a single dress incident, were met with firm rebuttals. It was evident to everyone, especially Jackson and Grayson, that her behavior went far beyond one incident. They pointed out her consistent mistreatment of me as the underlying problem, dismissing her claims of unfairness as baseless. In a last-ditch effort to gain sympathy, Addison turned to me with tears, pleading for forgiveness. She clung to me, painting herself as a remorseful victim of circumstances. Yet her plea lacked sincerity. It quickly turned sour as she resumed name-calling and accused me of tearing her family apart. Her abrupt shift from fake remorse to open hostility only reinforced our decision to distance ourselves from her. Her failure to offer a genuine apology or acknowledge the impact of her actions further alienated her, not just from me but from everyone present. The guests, initially watching quietly, grew increasingly disapproving as Addison's true colors emerged once more. This scene marked a significant moment for our family. It wasn't just about keeping Addison at arm's length. It was about reaffirming our commitment to respect, unity, and the well-being of our shared future. Addison's failed attempt to reconcile, quickly overshadowed by her return to blame and manipulation, only strengthened our determination. The way forward was evident, marked by a united stance against toxicity and a shared commitment to nurturing a supportive and loving environment free from past grievances. Jackson acted swiftly. Without allowing Addison a chance to argue, he instructed security to escort her out. Meanwhile, both sides of the family and our friends openly criticized her behavior. It was a moment of validation as we watched her being escorted away, allowing us to resume our celebration surrounded by genuine supporters. The very next day, Grayson took decisive action. He returned home only to inform Addison to leave their shared residence and had his lawyers serve her with divorce papers. Her attempts to sway Grayson with tears, screams, and threats in front of the lawyer were futile. When she attempted to approach us, seeking an ally or a way to disrupt our peace, we made a conscious choice not to engage, safeguarding our new life together from her drama. Our phones and social media became Addison-free zones, eliminating any avenue for her to reach out. As for Addison's outcome, it was swift and fair. The divorce left her in financial hardship, her attempts at manipulation proving futile. Her pleas for help went unanswered, forcing her to face the consequences of her actions alone. Eventually, she returned to her hometown, hoping to rebuild her life and reputation, seeking employment and a fresh start. These developments brought us profound relief and closure. With Addison's turbulent influence no longer present, our lives thrived. We hope she finds a path forward that keeps her away from us, allowing us to move on from this chapter without further discord.